Hi, my name's Pooja Arora, and I'm the engagement representative for Birmingham LMC. Workload is one of the key issues affecting our profession today. A recent GPC survey showed that 8 in 10 GPs are struggling to provide safe, quality care for their patients due to these workload pressures. Our chairman, Dr. Bill Strange, and our secretary, Dr. Bob Morley, will be covering a wide range of issues to help provide you with some advice on how to tackle these workload pressures. We'll be covering things such as what you and your practice can do together to tackle these issues, what your contract means, and what to do with the ever-increasing non-NHS work being dumped on our GP surgeries, what to do when you as a practice are really struggling to meet these workload pressures, and above all, what the future holds and how this will impact your workload in coming years. The video provides a series of links which can be used as resources to help you read more about how you can reduce your workload pressures. I hope you find this video useful, and if you need any further advice, then please get in touch with your LMC.
I think that there's a lot that we need to do proactively ourselves. We need to look at our teams, we need to look at the processes that underpin those, and we need to take note of examples of good practice from around us. Within our teams, think of the extended primary care team, not just the initial players like the nurses and the nurse practitioners, but the new roles, the physician's associates, the embedded physicians, the care navigators. There's new roles, we need to use them effectively, and we need to delegate. Underpinning that, we need appropriate processes that tie these new roles together, shared management plans, and regular team meetings.
One key issue for practices is that they must learn to say no to workload that isn't their responsibility to carry out, that's not part of their contract and that they're not funded to do. Increasingly we're finding that hospitals are trying to pass on a lot of their own work onto general practice, for example prescribing specialist drugs outside of general practice competence, carrying out blood tests and other investigations that should be the hospital's responsibility. It's very important that practices do say no to this inappropriate work, and there are resources available to help them with this. As well as practices being asked to do NHS work inappropriately from other providers, we're also finding that increasingly non-NHS work tends to be dumped on general practice. For example, local authorities requesting letters to support rehousing requests, schools asking for certificates to prove minor illness because of school absence. It's important that practices understand that if they are being asked to do this work, then it's taking their time away from caring for the sick, which is their responsibility. So again, practices must feel empowered to robustly say no to any inappropriate work. And of course, if they do feel in a position to do any of this work, then generally speaking it's quite legitimate for them to charge an appropriate private professional fee for it.
Bob's clearly outlined the issues, but how do you actually carry out things in the busy practice? How do you say no? It's very difficult. My advice would be to have a team approach. Try and get everybody in the team singing from the same hymn sheet. Other things I'd say is be clear and logical to the patient, the reasons why you may not be providing a service. Talk to your CCG, be clear to that person who is expecting the additional service, secondary care or another organisation. Try not to rise to the bait. Over the years, I've frequently been told what a terrible GP I am for refusing to do certain services. As long as you maintain a professional and logical approach, that's very helpful. Nowadays, of course, there's clear advice that's come through from the GP Forward View. There's the GPC Guide to Maintaining Quality in Challenging Times. And above all, you can seek further advice from your LMC and the BMA as to how you should act. Don't be bullied, stand your ground, but remain professional and try not to internalise any emotional dissonance.
Sometimes the workload difficulties that practices get into are so severe that they need to take further measures over and above the ones we've already described. And it may be that, for example, they need to seek to limit the size of their practice list in order to continue to be able to provide safe and high quality care. So they may wish to apply for formal closure of the practice list, or simply to decline all new registrations in line with the regulations for a short period of time while their workload issues are being handled. There is plenty of advice available about this from the LMC and also from the BMA's Quality First website. Increasingly, practices are finding that with the changing landscape of NHS and primary care, they're having to reorganise the way they work in order to better manage their workload. So we're seeing increasing number of practices working together in super partnerships or federations, and clearly this is a way forward for the future. We're also recently finding out more about the new agenda of the MCP, the Multi-Specialty Community Partnership, and it may be that some practices feel that working in these new models of care might provide a future solution to managing their workload, but there are still an awful lot of unanswered questions about the potential opportunities and benefits, but also the risks of getting involved in these developments.
In my experience as a GP, one of the most corrosive things that causes burnout is this feeling that we're just not able to give to our patients everything that we need to. A former chairwoman of the college has said that we truly work in toxic times. All GPs are trying to think of ways to control their workload, and if we don't manage to do that, it's only going to worsen the problems we have around recruitment and retention. So it's beholden on all of us to think of fair and logical ways to manage our workload. If in doubt and if you need further advice, please do contact your local LMC, or indeed look for further advice on the BMA website or with published GPC documents.